Blood of Jesus. That was the heart-wrenching cry of Eunice Olawale, echoing in the dark alleys on a fateful morning in 2016. Eunice's life was abruptly cut short by a vicious attack while she carried out her daily evangelism. Was this a crime of religious intolerance or a calculated act of malice? This is the unsolved murder of Eunice Olawale. In the year 2016, in the suburb of Abuja, capital city of Nigeria, lived a certain woman, Eunice Olawale, a devoted mother, an assistant pastor, passionate preacher, and a staunch evangelist. Born July 23, 1974, a 42-year-old woman who would have turned 43 later that month, an assistant pastor with the Redeemed Christian Church of God. She was also a deaconess of the Divine Touch Parish of the Redeemed Christian Church of God and a mother of 7. She was an indigene of Ekiti State and had been married to her husband Elisha Olawale from Ondo State since July 2000. She was described by her husband as hardworking, God-fearing, and supportive in sustaining the family. She was also described by others as a humble woman and a passionate preacher. The family lived in the Kubwa area of capital city of Abuja, Nigeria. She was well known to have been preaching in that area for many years. Eunice usually left her home early morning at 5 a.m. every day before dawn to evangelize in the streets of Abuja, an action attributed to Nigerian Christians usually referred to as morning cry in Nigeria, where a Christian goes out with a megaphone to preach the gospel of Christ as he commanded them according to the Bible in the book of Matthew chapter 28 from verse 19 to 20, known as the Great Commission. Several days before her gruesome murder, she overheard nearby Muslims comment about her preaching that she should be chased away. She also overheard another conversation from a mosque from a Muslim cleric behind their home, which implied that her preaching wasn't the truth about God. After she informed her husband about what she heard, he cautioned her to be careful. After those incidents, Eunice suspended her daily morning evangelism for about a week, after which she resumed. This may sound insensitive in my opinion, but it's a mistake to insist that only good things must be said of dead people. Some dead people have done awful things in their lifetime and the living must draw lessons from them. The deceased was inconsiderate in her behavior for some reasons, going by the words of her husband Olawale Elisha. My wife was so committed to anything that is of God. She was a reckless giver to God's work. She rarely missed any program in church. I see her as a martyr and she died for Christ, and whether the people are caught or not, they should forgive them. My prayer is that if they can accept Christ, that will be a gain to Christ. But this does not justify the violence done to her. She did not take due diligence for her safety. She ignored her husband's sensible advice and the threats from her would-be killers. It's not clear if she even informed the police about the threats. She gave no consideration to what would happen to her 7 children if she got murdered. There is a reason people like Pastor Adeboye, Oyedepo, Kumuyi, and the rest don't travel to Pakistan, Afghanistan, Somalia, Yemen, or Bangladesh to evangelize, even though these places need the gospel of Jesus more than the US and the UK. Before her murder, it said a Muslim cleric came to their house and requested for food for his Islamic school. After she stated that she didn't have any food to give him, at that time, he left. Was this a part of a larger scheme? It remains unknown. Eunice was murdered on the 9th of July 2016 after she left the house at the usual time to preach. According to several media reports, Eunice was murdered between 5 a.m. and 5:30 a.m. Accounts differ as to the exact manner she was murdered. Several reports stated that she was beheaded and stabbed. Other sources stated that she was stabbed multiple times in the stomach and the leg before bleeding to death. People heard her screaming blood of Jesus at about the time she was murdered, which ultimately became her last words. At around 6:30 to 7:30 a.m., her husband woke up from his bed. The first sign of his wife's murder were alarming calls from his children about comments made by some nearby football players, specifying a woman killed while preaching and her lifeless body laying on the ground in a pool of blood. Immediately he heard the information, Olawale dialed his wife's phone to verify, but realized it had been switched off. Afterwards, Elisha got more information and directive to confirm his wife's death at the police station. He saw her lifeless body, her megaphone, Bible, and mobile phone were still close to her body. Pastor Elisha vented on seeing his wife's corpse at the police station and was later revived. The wife of the RCCG General Overseer and wife of the Vice President visited the family. The gruesome murder of Eunice sparked outrage on social media among Nigerians, especially between Christians and Muslims, which further revealed divides among the religious lines. The state of religious tolerance in the country became an issue of concern. 6 suspects were arrested in connection with the murder. Many residents living close to the area where Eunice was murdered moved away for fear of being arrested. Christians were urged to protect themselves as much as possible, especially while evangelizing. The wife of the Vice President, Oludolapo Osibanjo, and Pastor E. Deboye paid condolence visits to the family. Her burial was put on hold until further investigations revealed the perpetrators and brought them to justice. Eunice's murder did not deter other preachers, one of whom was reported to continue her morning preaching at the exact same spot Eunice was murdered. The Christian Association of Nigeria (CAN) and the Pentecostal Fellowship of the Nigerian PFN gave the Nigerian police 14 days ultimatum to undergo further investigations pertaining to her murder and bring the perpetrators to book. Her death remains unsolved.